Trade wars sound like battles between countries, but the real effects hit your wallet, your groceries, and the price of almost everything you buy. Why do nations impose tariffs? And how do these decisions ripple through businesses, jobs, and consumers? In this video, we'll break down trade wars in simple terms, explaining who really wins, who loses, and why it often isn't the countries you expect. Today, we will talk about trade wars explained, who wins and who loses. So before we start, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. 1. What is a trade war? A trade war occurs when countries impose tariffs, quotas, or other restrictions on each other's goods and services to protect domestic industries. These measures are usually intended to make foreign products more expensive, encouraging consumers to buy locally. While governments often present trade wars as a strategy to strengthen their economy or protect jobs, they can escalate quickly, affecting global markets. Trade wars often begin with one country imposing tariffs, which leads to retaliation from another. This tit-for-tat cycle can slow international trade, disrupt supply chains, and increase prices for consumers. Understanding what a trade war is helps explain why imported goods become more expensive and why businesses face uncertainty. Trade wars are rarely won outright. They usually create winners and losers across countries, industries, and households. By examining the mechanics of trade wars, we can see why global cooperation and negotiation are essential to maintaining economic stability. 2. Why trade wars happen? Trade wars are often sparked by imbalances in trade, unfair practices, or political objectives. Countries may feel that their domestic industries are under threat from cheaper imports or subsidies provided to foreign competitors. Political pressures, such as protecting jobs or appeasing certain industries, can also trigger tariffs. Sometimes trade wars are used as leverage in broader diplomatic negotiations. Economic nationalism, desire for self-sufficiency, or strategic control over key industries can all motivate trade restrictions. While trade wars may seem beneficial in the short term for certain sectors, they can cause long-term disruptions. Understanding the reasons behind trade wars provides insight into global politics, business strategy, and the interconnectedness of modern economies. 3. Winners in a trade war. In a trade war, certain domestic industries may benefit temporarily. Companies producing goods that compete directly with imported products often see higher sales because tariffs make foreign goods more expensive. Workers in these industries may enjoy job security and wage stability during the early stages. Governments may claim success in protecting critical sectors or promoting domestic manufacturing. In addition, companies that export less affected goods to alternative markets may gain an advantage. Some industries, particularly those less reliant on imports or global supply chains, can adapt and even thrive during trade conflicts. Understanding who benefits highlights the uneven impact of trade wars and why some sectors gain while others face losses. 4. Losers in a trade war. Trade wars create significant challenges for consumers, businesses, and global markets. Consumers often pay higher prices for goods due to tariffs, reducing purchasing power and living standards. Exporters may lose foreign markets when other countries retaliate, hurting profits and employment. Businesses reliant on imported raw materials face higher production costs, which can reduce competitiveness. Global supply chains are disrupted, affecting industries far beyond the initial tariffs. Smaller companies, which cannot absorb added costs as easily as large corporations, are especially vulnerable. Understanding the losers in a trade war helps explain why such conflicts can have broad economic consequences and why they are often criticized by economists. 5. Impact on prices and inflation. One of the most immediate effects of a trade war is higher prices for goods. Tariffs act like a tax on imports, which companies often pass on to consumers. Essential goods, electronics, and raw materials can become significantly more expensive. Higher import costs can also increase production expenses for domestic companies, leading to inflation in prices of finished goods. Inflation caused by trade wars reduces real purchasing power, especially for low- and middle-income households. Understanding this link helps explain why trade disputes in distant countries can directly impact your daily expenses and overall cost of living. 6. Effects on global supply chains. Modern economies rely heavily on complex global supply chains. A trade war can disrupt these networks by making imported components more expensive or difficult to access. Companies may need to find alternative suppliers or relocate production, often at higher costs. Delays and uncertainties reduce efficiency, affect delivery schedules, and increase production costs. Industries like automotive, electronics, and agriculture are particularly vulnerable due to their reliance on international inputs. Understanding supply chain effects demonstrates that trade wars do not just affect borders. They ripple across the global economy, influencing business decisions and product availability worldwide. 7. Retaliation and escalation. Trade wars often escalate as countries retaliate against tariffs with counter-tariffs. This tit-for-tat strategy can spiral into prolonged conflict, worsening economic disruption. Retaliation may target critical exports, hurting industries that initially benefited from protection. Escalating trade conflicts can reduce investor confidence, slow economic growth, and create uncertainty for businesses. Political motivations often prolong these disputes, even when economic harm becomes evident. Understanding retaliation explains why trade wars are rarely resolved quickly and why they often have unintended consequences that affect everyone from corporations to consumers. 8. Long-term economic consequences. While trade wars may offer short-term protection for specific industries, long-term consequences are often negative. Reduced trade can slow economic growth, increase prices, and weaken international cooperation. Businesses may invest less due to uncertainty, limiting innovation and expansion. Economies heavily reliant on exports or global supply chains may suffer disproportionately. Additionally, prolonged trade conflicts can alter global trade patterns, forcing countries to seek alternative partners and markets. Understanding the long-term effects highlights why economists often advise negotiation and compromise over confrontation, emphasizing sustainable economic strategies over protectionist measures. 9. Who ultimately wins? In reality, no country wins a trade war outright. While specific industries may gain temporarily, the broader economy often suffers. Consumers lose due to higher prices, businesses face uncertainty, and global economic growth slows. Political leaders may claim victories for domestic industries, but the hidden costs usually outweigh short-term gains. Winners are often limited to a few protected sectors, while losers include the majority of consumers and globally integrated businesses. Understanding this helps citizens evaluate political claims about trade conflicts critically and recognize that cooperation often delivers better outcomes than prolonged confrontation. 10. Why trade wars matter to you. Trade wars may seem distant, but they directly affect your finances, jobs, and lifestyle. Higher prices for everyday goods, potential layoffs, and disrupted supply chains can impact households and businesses alike. Understanding trade wars helps you anticipate changes in costs, make smarter purchasing decisions, and evaluate economic news more critically. By knowing who benefits and who loses, you can better understand the ripple effects of international policies on your personal finances. Awareness empowers you to adapt to changes, whether by adjusting spending, considering career shifts, or making informed investments during periods of economic tension. If you liked this video and would like to see more like it, please give it the thumbs up, leave a comment, and click the button to subscribe.